few weeks ago, I made a video where I removed all the molding off of this truck without damaging it. And I mentioned in that how I was going to cut 16 inches out of this truck. Well, right after I made that video, I went on vacation for about 10 days. I had enough time in the evenings that I watched videos of people working on the dent side Ford truck doing the conversion from long to short. I found a site called the House That Russ Built / 10 Man Customs, and I'm pretty much doing exactly what he did. But he never showed you some of the rust issues that you run into. But he did a great job on how he did the conversion. I found two other YouTube sites, Speed Wrench Garage, and he's pretty much taken one completely apart and putting it back together. And also another one called Cody Builds. And those two guys show you the rust that you got to fix on these while doing the short bed conversion. I'm going to show you what I've been doing and where I've gotten to so far. I've got the truck bed all stripped down, and the floor seems to be in pretty good shape, except for where there was cross members going by, and there's some rust holes there. I'll be cutting 16 inches out of the front of this floor from here back, and I notice that this shape right here is the same as right here. So when I cut that back, one of the holes is going to have to be in the floor right here. Now I'll probably come out here to the side and cut back here to that 16 inches and take out that section of the floor. I've measured 16 inches back from the front of the floor, and I'm going to mark it along that edge. That's the line I don't want to cut. And I've marked where I want to drill the hole, the 1/2 inch hole, 16 inches back from that hole. I'm marking the side I don't want to cut off. I made these two wooden blocks that are the same thickness as the brace that goes under there, and I'll put bolts through there. So I've got a piece of tape on my true 16 inches. And I want to cut on that side of the tape, and I'm going to put a little mark for reference. All hoisted up. You can see that this brace needs to be moved back to here, but it's all ate up, so I'm eventually going to have to remake that. This one comes out completely and it's shot. Don't need it anymore. This one has got some bad spots in it. We'll see how the rest of these are. Heat shields for the mufflers got to come out. The reason for lifting this up was to clean up the underneath of this, because I don't like to lay under it, and expose the spot welds. By using an abrasive wheel like this, I was able to expose the spot welds. Here I put a center punch. Here I use a small drill bit to enlarge that. Then I'll use a drill bit like this one. It's fairly flat on the end. And then here's what the hole looks like after it's been drilled out. So this is the front of the bed, passenger side, and there's a tag right here. And I think this is on most of them that probably identifies what it came from. So I'm going to take that off, save that. On this second brace down, I got all the spot welds on the one half of it undone. So I'm just going to take and cut it off on this other side and then drill out. It'll be easier to see instead of being in the shadows. Look at this mess under here. I've got all the spot welds drilled at the front of the floor is loose from the brace. Now I'm ready to cut 16 inches out of that floor. Before I set this back down to cut the floor out, cut 16 inches of the floor out, I'm going to remove this putty right here. And all you got to do is heat this up a little bit. Ha! Got it out. When you're turning the long bed into a short bed, the second beam back gets removed completely. The one that's up here, of course this one's going to have to be replaced, gets moved just ahead of it, just about right here. So I put together this gizmo to hold the cutoff saw. They're right degree angle, and there's a straight edge on the back, and I fastened this angle iron in the floor as a fence. And there's two little cuts started right here. And I have this fence fastened down, and that blade should go right into those cuts. Yep. So I'm going to attempt to cut this all the way across. Well, the setup worked. Looks like I got a straight line across there. Took a little getting used to how to work that, but it worked. Now I've got to do these two cuts up to the front, and that floor should come out. No guide on this one. I'm just going to freehand it. I still have about an inch to go on this cut, so I'm going to try to do it with a Dremel. The 16 inches the front of this bed has been cut out. It should just lift right out. Sure enough. Here's that support beam that goes across the front. It is just totally ate up. So it's going to have to be replaced. So instead of taking 16 inches out of the middle here and trying to get this straight to where it's not either bowed in or out, I'm going to go straight to the front edge where it's stronger because of this bracing in here. So when I bring these together, more strength. Now, I'm not going to follow the line. And I've seen other people also level this whole bed and then use a plumb bob line to get a straight line. Well, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to get that straight line. So I've got a very straight piece of angle iron, and I've got this long level. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use this square. I'll be lining this up with the front edge of this bed, both ends. This goes across all the way to the top to the other side. I got this that goes clear across the other side. If I pull this square right up to the bottom of these and line it up with the front edge of this angle and put some pencil marks, pencil mark here, right up here. And now I can come on down the seam of the body. Get in there. Okay. That gives me a lot of straight edge to work with there. I've got this aluminum straight edge that can bend a little bit. I'm going to line that up at the top of this. come down here to this pencil line. Now I'm using an X-Acto knife. I want a really nice thin line. Inside here, I'm just going to use this straight edge, keep it lined up. There we go. So this would be easier with more hands. So I feel really good about my line right here. And I'll just measure 16 inches back every so far. And that's going to be the next line back. On the top here, I've decided to come over 3 1/8 inches. Make a mark here, come back here, make another mark. So now I'm going to come back 6 inches, put a mark. This is going to be a staggered cut. If I take 6 inches and come back here, this line here should be 10 inches. It is. So I'm going to come back 16 inches. Now I'm going to right angle off the back edge to this 6-inch mark and mark all the way across. I'm going to apply tape on the outsides of these lines, having 16 inches in the middle. So on the top edge, I'm still taping on the outside of those lines, leaving 16 inches in the middle. When you get to this line though, you want to be on opposite sides, because if you don't, you'll get too wide of a gap if you cut everything on the same side. So if you do opposites, it'll butt right up next to each other. Marking it so I'll know what side of the line to cut on. Got the sidewall cut loose, and I thought I drilled out most of the rivets, but there's still something I've missed. So I'll get that and this will come off. I've got to admit, some of this looks pretty bad in here, but I think most of it's on the surface can be cleaned off and repainted. And with this section out, I think I'm going to fix places like down in here where it's rusted through before I put it back together. There's a rust hole right here. So when I first pulled the side off, this is what you saw. It looks awful. Looks like it's too bad to even repair. But with a combination of this wire wheel and this paint remover wheel, whatever you call it, that metal's looking like this now. There's a couple places up in here that's pitted a little bit. The rest of this is in pretty good shape. The inside of there looks pretty good, except for at the very bottom, and I'll fix that. I've spray painted this area with Rusty Metal Primer by Rust-Oleum. It looks pretty good. Save the stake pocket. It's going to fit right up into here. I've marked on the side of the lines I'm going to cut. That'll be exactly 16 inches out. But down here, I want to save this cut out for that square door. I don't know if it'll ever be used by anybody, but I'm going to save that. And I'm going to attempt to save this piece and hope it fits right into this piece. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. I found 5 spot welds on this inner lip that need drilled out. And I've already started it with the smaller bit. I'll do the bigger bit. And that should come off there. Yep. Now that I've got these sections cut out, I thought it might be a really good time to address the rust that's up in these front corners of the bed. Don't forget, what happens in the cornfield stays in the cornfield.
Marvelous.